Hello and welcome. You tune into Market Cafe. I'm Ankita Saxena. With me is my colleague Shrishti Sharma, and today we'll take you through all the global cues that you need to watch out for and all the cues that you have to keep on your radar and the stocks in news. But let's take stock of how Wall Street fared yesterday to get a sense of how the Indian markets perhaps can move. We do see US markets that are little changed, very flat moves that are coming in. In fact, remember, we have seen those losing weeks coming in on Wall Street on the back of those AI fears. And yesterday also we did see S&P 500 that was very flat, 0.05% of an uptick that's coming in. Nasdaq Composite that was down 0.2%, 50 points down, and Dow Jones Industrial Average that closed 0.1% higher. So very flat moves coming in there. But right now, even if I look at the futures are also very little changed. In fact, if I look at the futures, S&P 500 futures, that's just trading up, 0.1%. Nasdaq has already shed 0.2%, and Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 0.2%. So very flat moves coming in as far as even the futures are concerned. But we do see a shade of green coming in on the futures as of now.
All right, so that's about the US markets. They were shut just yesterday, and for now we are seeing a bit of a move coming in on the future side. But the commodity market was open indeed. We have seen a bit of a sell-off that is kicking in on the gold as well as silver, wherein gold is down almost 0.5%. Silver seems to be falling almost 2% as we speak right now. But along with that, with respect to the crude prices, nothing much happening over there as well. As of now, Brent crude is hovering around that $67 per barrel mark. Oil is steady ahead of the US-Iran talks, and WTI is hovering around that $64 per barrel mark. Yes, of course, the heightened US-Iran tensions ahead of the second round of the talks. Iran launched maritime drill or in the Strait of Hormuz. These are some of the key developments that could be crucial for the crude world. But yes, of course, as of now, nothing much happening on the crude prices. But yes, the precious metals, they are indeed a bit under pressure.
All right, moving on then, Iran's foreign minister met the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency ahead of fresh nuclear talks with the United States. As diplomacy resumes and Washington has deployed additional warships to the region while Iran launched military drills in the Strait of Hormuz, Tehran is seeking sanctions relief in exchange for nuclear curbs but rejects zero enrichment and limits on its missile programs.
And the United States Department of Defense is considering cutting ties with Anthropic over limits of military use of its AI models. Now, according to reports, the Pentagon wants unrestricted access for lawful purposes, including defense operations. Rivals are also in talk. Anthropic says its safeguards focus on blocking autonomous weapons and mass surveillance.
And SpaceX and its AI arm, XAI, are reportedly competing in a classified United States Department of Defense contest to develop voice-controlled autonomous drone swarms. The 6-month, $100 million challenge aims to translate spoken commands into coordinated drone operations. The move follows SpaceX's acquisition of XAI, positioning the company at an intersection of defense, space, and artificial intelligence.
BHP Group posted a stronger than expected first half profit driven by surge in copper earnings. Profit jumped 22% while copper overtook iron ore for the first time, contributing half of the operating earnings. And CEO Mike Henry, said that the company is focused on organic growth amid tough China negotiations.
And Ireland's Data Protection Commission has launched a formal probe into X over its AI chatbot Grok. The regulator is examining whether Grok breached EU privacy laws by generating sexualized AI images, including of children. Under the rules, fines could reach up to 4% of the global revenue.
And the India AI Impact Summit kicked off, bringing together delegations from over 45 countries and more than 3,000 speakers. Global tech leaders including Sam Altman of OpenAI, Dario Amodei of Anthropic and Sundar Pichai of Google were seen to be attending, and world leaders including Emmanuel Macron, Luis Lula Silva as well as Pedro Sanchez and many other leaders will also be present. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi did inaugurate the expo as India pushes for the global consensus on AI governance and share the digital commons. Let me take it across to my colleague Sumita, who is here to give us the highlights from the day one. Sumita.
That's right. Today is day 2 of the summit. Lots to look forward to. Very many interesting conversations that are going to happen in the space of safety, regulation, innovation, and the democratizing aspect of AI. Remember, India is looking at this summit very differently from how other nations have looked at. India is looking at not curtailing or curbing innovation, but it feels that appropriate guardrails should be put in place. But more importantly, democratization of AI should be priority for the government and, of course, for the world. And the benefits of AI should be available to all. So what happened yesterday? Well, lots of very interesting sessions. In fact, with respect to the labor markets issue, India's Chief Economic Advisor V. Anantha Nageshwaran stated, and I quote, that India's transition in the age of AI will not happen by drift. He called for urgent policy action, political will, and urgent need for structural reforms, which will be needed to manage these emerging labor market shifts. Remember, the labor market shifts, the debate around job creation, job displacement has been at the center of this AI disruption. So that was an important comment. The other important update that came in from the AI Impact Summit is that NISA, which is an AI startup, it secured a funding of $1.2 billion by a consortium led by BlackRock. In fact, this is an AI infrastructure company. So, of course, that really tells you about the role that startups are also going to play in this age of AI. The third aspect is about Anthropic. Anthropic is setting up an office in Bengaluru. In fact, when the company was speaking to press yesterday, the company's founder, Dario Amodei, stated that Anthropic's run rate business has doubled over the past 4 months since he last visited, and these models can be used for cyber attacks. In fact, the company's CTO, Rahul Patil, said that India is scaling rapidly and is applying AI on a massive scale. So, these were some of the key highlights. There were parallel sessions going on here at Bharat Mandapam. In fact, the Prime Minister also visited the expo area where various companies have set up their own pavilions.
And French President Emmanuel Macron is on a multi-city visit to India with high-level engagements in Mumbai and New Delhi. He met Prime Minister Narendra Modi, oversees key MOUs and attends the India-France Innovation Forum. Macron will also join cultural events at the Gateway of India before heading to the Global Summit at the Bharat Mandapam. The visit highlights deepening strategic innovation and cultural ties. And we also had IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav at the India AI Summit speaking about the balancing the positives and the risk of artificial intelligence and how India can drive a create in India with AI vision. Let's go across and listen in to what Ashwini Vaishnav had to say about this.
The talent pipeline which is getting created because of the AI adoption, because of the training programs, because of the skilling and upskilling programs, that is definitely going to create more opportunities for the global media industry to come and create in India. Apart from the natural growth which is happening, from the government side, we are promoting this through, very soon we'll be launching a Create in India mission, like the semiconductor mission. That Create in India mission will also be very industry oriented, very employment oriented, very future oriented mission, which will basically look at, one, strengthening what we already have, two, making sure that we become the most preferred platform for the world for creating. Three, we create that future-ready talent pipeline, which keeps that growth that we need to have for the next 25 years.
Yeah, I appreciate that response. That's exactly
what the impact on human society is going to be. There are many items which have very positive impact. For example, in agriculture, in weather forecasting, in climate change, in discovery of new materials, in productivity of our people. Everywhere there are so many positive things. Simultaneously, there is a negative impact also, potentially negative impact also. How do we balance the two so that we can get the good, the benefits while we can contain the harms? That's what we intend to cover in the next few days, Mr. Rifkin. And hopefully, given the kind of leadership which is attending this summit, we will come out with a good outcome on this.
All right, moving on. And at the AI Impact Summit 2026, the blueprint for women-led prosperity panel, we had Mr. Brijesh Singh, IPS, AI and cybersecurity specialist, speaks on AI, its biases and its impact in cybersecurity. Let's go across and listen into that.
Now, we have come up with a technology which was an untested genie. We unleashed it upon the world without understanding the implications. If you look at the implicit biases in AI, you'd find out that it is totally biased against women. There's a wonderful documentary which I generally quote. It's called Coded Bias. It's available on Netflix. A black student from, I think, Stanford or something, she did a study wherein she found that even if you look at facial recognition systems, the error rates for data it was not trained on are very high, right? For people of color, people of minority, the error rates suddenly start climbing very, very high. Similarly, when you look at, ask AI a simple question that Ambika and Rakesh, what careers they should choose between 4. It will say Rakesh should become a doctor, Ambika should become a nurse, right? Because it has implicit biases. Who taught AI these biases? All this material from Reddit, Wikipedia, which men have been typing day in and day out.
And well, let's go across to my colleague Samita also, who spoke to Rajan Anandan, who gave his insights on where India stands today and what it must do next to stay competitive in the AI era. Let's listen into this slice of that conversation.
Well, firstly, it's a very exciting week. I think for AI around the world, and especially for all of us in India with the AI Summit happening in Delhi. So can't wait to get there tomorrow. Look, I think India already is, if you look at AI adoption among consumers, India is the #1 or #2 market for the large consumer AI platforms, right? ChatGPT, Gemini, and others. So we are well on our way, I would say, in terms of consumer adoption. If you fast forward 2, 3, 4 years, India will unquestionably be the largest consumer market for consumer AI applications. So that's #1. I think second, starting this year, we've already started seeing an inflection in voice AI, and both on consumer, but also in enterprise. So I know the second big thing I think we're going to start seeing is really explosive growth of voice AI adoption in enterprise and small businesses. And I think within 3, 4 years, India could become the largest voice AI market in the world in terms of minutes of voice AI consumed, if you could think of it that way. I think the third thing that we're going to see is unprecedented adoption of AI in government services, right? Be it consumer-facing government services or internal productivity improvements for government. So all of these three things, spell that India will go from being one of the largest consumer markets for AI adoption to being a broad-based.
Right, Rajan very rightly said, of course, India has the demographic dividend, but let me ask you one more question, and this essentially is on, the various views that have essentially come, whether India can actually be an AI powerhouse or its strength. Will it remain a services powerhouse, given what we've seen with the IT sector? Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, so look, basically there are 2 types of opportunities that we're seeing, right? The first set of opportunities are Indian entrepreneurs building AI from India, but for the world. The second set of opportunities are Indian entrepreneurs building AI for the Indian market, right? And those are either consumer applications, enterprise applications, vertical AI applications.
Right, and let me now move on to the global context and comparisons which often come in, especially when you see the United States, for instance, which has sort of put in mega billions of dollars of budgets, especially when we talk about AI, when local language models are concerned. But India's approach has been rather less resource intensive, and it's more focused on the application layer. Do you think that is the strategy India should pursue, given the fact that it is looking leadership, especially when it comes to AI?
Yeah, look, so firstly, India is absolutely going to have a very significant play at the model layer. And this week we'll see that launches from a whole set of companies, including Sarvam. I think what you will see with Indian AI innovators is they will focus on uplifting the lives of 1.4 billion Indians, right? If you think about it, the US is very, very focused on AGI. China, in many ways, is much more focused on real-world applications, building models that actually perform as well in real-world applications. You will see India really focusing more on the latter, which is how can we build models that are highly performant, that are SOTA, but for applications that are here and now, right? So voice AI would be a very interesting example, because today, if you look at voice AI in Indian languages, Sarvam is state-of-the-art, both in speech to text and text to speech, and the kind of growth that they're seeing, both for their voice AI agents as well as the APIs that are all built off their own models is really quite spectacular, right? We've seen the same thing with OCR. I think last week they put something out as Sarvam that shows that OCR Sarvam today is. So what you will see in, I would say, models that range from, let's say, 2 or 3 billion parameters to about 100 billion parameters that are Indic languages. Indian companies are going to build models that are truly SOTA.
And Amazon is betting big on the future of AI in India, says Panos Panay, who is the Senior VP of Amazon Devices and Services. My colleague Shibani caught up with him to understand more about the company's investment plan and how it will shape up for India.
One of the reasons I joined Amazon just a couple of years ago was because that intersection of AI connecting to people to make it more personal, make it more useful, meaningful in people's lives, we were right at the beginning of it.
Sure.
And it was so inspiring to see the investments that Amazon is making. And to your point, the investments in Bedrock or AWS, all the tool sets, our own, if you will, foundational model, and then ultimately right to the consumer's hands with Alexa and with other products within the portfolio. But those bets, and this is Amazon is known for its big bets and the patience in delivering those, which, by the way, for me, it's like a dream. It's so inspiring.
Sure.
Because these bets take time and patience. And I think we're just at the beginning, and we're just like quite literally in the infant stages of what AI is going to do for the world. And our focus is making AI for good and helping people get what they want to get done and making it useful. But it's so early. And so when you say big bets, they come with a few things. What are you betting on? And I gave you that landscape. But also being patient enough to hold the investment, to invest in the foundation, in the principles. I think you may know Amazon's committed to another 35 million through 35 billion through 2030 here in India. Part of that, a major part of that is AI infrastructure.
Sure.
And a part of that is delivering the AI solutions to the.
How is it that you use AI? I know we use it to sum up lengthy documents and, come up with quick summaries, quick pointers for a few things with so much of data that we have to consume on a daily basis as journalists.
Yeah.
How do you use AI in your
So
daily life?
a bunch of different ways. One is I'm going to give you the most fun and the simple at the end. But first, for writing code, for just understanding details, maybe a lot like you use it and like in the everyday, like the way you think about entering a prompt into a search box. However, like what this product's doing for me now is transforming things. Here's my example just from my plane ride. It's coming out here. I got a mail from my daughter that said she's trying to join the tennis team at school.
Sure.
Okay, now I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. Okay, she's still learning. She's amazing. Hopefully she doesn't see this. She's amazing. But she sent me a mail, and in the mail there was just a list of all her tennis tournaments if she makes the team.
Sure.
And it had her tryouts, And as a busy father, like this is when I say we want to make it meaningful or make it useful in your life. What did I do? I just sent it to Alexa. And Alexa populated the calendar and updated everything.
Yeah.
Sent me a note back and said, there are 2 conflicts. Do you want me to block your calendar for you for this? Do you want me to consider drive time from your home? Now, all of a sudden, it's got my calendar updated. It knows when I need to be there. It's giving me my drive times. And it's blocked my calendar just to make sure that my team can see these are the days that are important to me.
All right, moving on then, United Nations has taken a major step towards global governance of artificial intelligence. In an exclusive interaction, Amandeep Singh Gill, the UN Secretary General's envoy on AI, revealed that the United Nations has brought together 40 leading scientists from 38 countries to closely monitor the rapid evolution of AI. Let's listen in to that slice of this conversation.
It's a big moment for India. India is hosting the first AI summit in the developing world. It's a big moment for the UN because we are now moving from principles to action. Action on science. You mentioned the International Independent Scientific Panel of 40 experts from all across the globe coming together to provide regular assessments of what's the pace and direction of this technology, what are its implications, the opportunities and the risks. So all of us, every country, every community can be informed and can take decisions on the basis of evidence. Likewise, we've decided to set up a regular global dialogue on the governance of AI at the United Nations. All 193 countries will have a seat at the table. They'll be able to share best practices, lessons learned with each other, and ground the regulation, the governance of AI in our shared norms, including the UN Charter. And the third pillar of the progress and part of the excitement is the effort on AI capacity building. There is an AI divide. We need to address that urgently through investments in compute, in data sets, in talent, in the infrastructure, including energy that's needed for AI. And the Secretary General has proposed a global fund on AI of $3 billion for urgent investments in the 80-90 countries that are most at risk of getting left behind.
And Anthropic has opened its first India office in Bengaluru the same day as India AI Impact, wherein the summit definitely begins. And the AI startup has also announced new partnerships in key areas with local firms. And this comes as Anthropic's AI Claude become increasingly popular in India. Let me take it across to my colleague Mansi, who joins in with more details.
The AI story in India is clearly evolving from adoption to creation. Yes, we are developing. And in Bengaluru, when the Anthropic Builder Summit happened, it clearly did showcase how much we have developed in terms of AI. The summit was all about enterprises, business impact, but at the same time, it was also about the safety net which AI has to create. Yes, the narrative and motto of Anthropic is AI safety first. And clearly, this time, when we talk about artificial intelligence, the world is witnessing India and Indians, how we grow and how we develop. And at the same time, the global leaders and the global organizations are also looking at the country, India, not because we have a talent, but at the same time, we also have innovative mindset along with the talent. And that's the reason India is being seen by global leaders and global organizations.
And while speaking at the summit in Bengaluru, Anthropic top boss Dario Amodei said that it is very essential to ensure that everyone shares AI's benefits and urged India to utilize AI to improve efficiency and make governance more citizen-centric. He adds that by saying that it is really valuable use of technology. Let's listen in.
Most important things here is skating where the puck is going. So, I used to say this a couple years ago. I would say, you shouldn't build for where the AI models are now. You should build for where they are in a year or two. If you're a large enterprise, if you're, a big effort trying to build something, it's going to take a while to actually deploy and test things. So, you should be imaginative about where the technology is going to go. Don't build for step 4 out of a 10-step workflow, try and do the whole workflow, even if the AI model isn't quite capable of it yet. And I think 2 years ago people didn't understand the speed at which things were going. So I would often get kind of eyebrows with that advice, but with every model release, people have gradually started to understand this. And so I think the people who understand the most are the ones who kind of transform things end to end and who use things in the most expansive way possible. So one example is, if we look at, for example, Claude Code, long before we released Cowork, which is our kind of non-technical version of Claude Code, our legal department, our finance department, our comms department started using Claude Code, or more precisely the kind of agentic engine underneath it, not the CLI tool, but the kind of agentic engine underneath it, because this idea of having an agent and doing tasks applies to far more than just code. And so the companies that have understood that, the kind of users that have understood that, I think have gotten much further ahead than others, and they kind of see the future because they're able to use models in ways that correspond to a product that we haven't released yet. They're able to.
All right, time now to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the other side.
Avoid things.
Welcome back. You're tuned into Market Cafe, where we are taking you through all the cues that you need to watch out before the start of D Street. And let's talk about the Asian markets and how they have shaped up. Now, remember, the US markets were shut yesterday, but Asian markets also, we have a truncated week coming in. In fact, the Chinese market, Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan, and even South Korean markets are shut on the back of Lunar New Year holidays. And we do have Nikkei, though, that's open in the trading session, but Nikkei is trading down 0.5% right now. And we do have S&P ASX 200 that was that was trading in the green, though, trading up 0.5% higher. But now remember, as far as the Japanese market is concerned, we do see the downtick coming in after Japan posted its GDP numbers that was much below what was being expected, and after the landslide victory of Sene Takeshi, it's a big task that she has in front of her. In terms of government spending and improving Japan's economy, which is right now on the back foot. And on the back of that, on the back of those somber GDP numbers, Nikkei seems to be on the downslide. And right now also it is trading with cuts of almost 0.5%. But let's talk about GIFT Nifty. GIFT Nifty is also trading down 91 odd points. So expect a negative start for the Indian markets as well.
All right, so that's about the Asian check. But with this, let's also tell you which are the stocks that you should be watching out for in today's trading session. And firstly, let me take it across to my colleague Mithali, who's joining us with a list of stocks to be watched out in today's trading session. Take it away, Mithali.
Hi, so talking about the stocks in focus today, watch out for Cochin Shipyard as the company emerges as the L1 bidder for a massive 5,000 crore rupees of order received from Ministry of Defence, in which company will have to build 5 next generation survey vessels for the Indian Army. Next in line, we have Texmaco Rail. Company bags a 219 crore rupees of order from Mumbai Railway Vikas Corporation for signalling works under the Mumbai Urban Transport Project. Also, watch out for Embassy Development as the company receives its Maharera approval for its first Alibag residential project, Embassy Serenity, with a rupees 400 crores of gross development value. Also, watch out for REC as the company moves into the green infrastructure, incorporating a new subsidiary in Vizag for the upcoming green hydrogen and also the green ammonia project in Andhra Pradesh. Also, watch out for HFCL along with its subsidiary HTL Limited. Company secures optical fiber cable orders worth rupees 61 crores from a private telecom operator. So that's all from my side.
Right, thank you so much for joining us, Mithali, with the stocks and news. But let's go across to Ravinder, also standing by with his list of stocks you need to keep on your radar. Take it away, Ravinder.
Well, from the pharma space, Lupin can be in focus. The company has Intel license and supply agreement with Spectris Pharma to commercialize the novel antidepressant Deslaflex in Canada. NTPC can be in focus. The company's joint venture NTPC and Sail Power Company has commissioned an additional 5 megawatt at the Maroda Reservoir solar project, taking NTPC Group's total installed capacity at 87,809 megawatt. Keep an eye on JSW Infra, where board meet is scheduled to be held on on 28 December to 28 Feb 2026 to consider the fundraise via QIP. TVS Supply Chain can be in focus. The company has signed a MOU with the Italy-based ALA Group, and ALA is an Italy-based global aerospace and defense supply chain integrator, and this MOU is to collaborate on opportunities in India's rapidly expanding aerospace and defense sectors. Apart from this, AE Finance can be in focus, where Goldman Sachs has bought 0.68 stake in the company at 128 per share. Keep an eye on Engineers India, where BofA Securities Europe SA has bought 45.97 lakh shares at 217.6 per share. So back of this, Engineers India can be in focus.
All right, thank you so much, Ravinder, for getting us that list. But with this, once again, time to slip into a very short break, viewers. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to talk about on the other side. It stands at $34.7 billion, while good exports stood at $36.5 billion. So, yes, of course, that's the data that we are getting up. But Commerce Secretary has revealed that India and US are in the final stage of finalizing the much-anticipated trade deal between the two countries. In fact, an Indian delegation is expected to visit US next week. Let me take it across to my colleague Prakash, who is here with more details.
Well, that's an important development coming in on the India-US trade deal, as Commerce Secretary has informed that both countries are engaging virtually to finalize the legal documents on the deal. In fact, this is the next step after joint statement, which has been issued by both the countries. Now, the process has been initiated to convert these joint statement into legal document. A very significant development coming in. In fact, he has mentioned that a team led by Chief Negotiator is expected to visit the United States next week. In fact, the process will be initiated, and they're expecting that a mini deal will be signed by March this year. A very crucial development coming in. However, he has declined giving a specific deadline, but he has maintained that the efforts are being made, and they're expecting that a mini deal will be signed by March this year. A very crucial development coming in when it comes to India-US trade deal. When it comes to trade performance of the month of Jan, and also during April to Jan of the current fiscal year, he has maintained that the overall exports registered at $720 billion during April to January of the current fiscal year. There has been a 6.5% growth in the first 10 months, whereas when it comes to merchandise exports, which grew by 2.20% during this period, whereas services exports has grown by 10.57%. The overall trade deficit increased by 9.4% during April to January of the current fiscal year. Along with that, the total exports recorded in January stood at $80.45 billion.
And moving on then, in 2026, Indian Railways is planning a major transformation with 52 reforms in 52 weeks. 18 hours, Anurag Shah spoke with the Western Railway CPRO on the upcoming transformation. Let's listen in to more.
Talking about Western Railway in particular, see, our focus as far as suburban is concerned is to ensure that our carrying capacity we are able to increase as much as possible. Multiple projects as of now are undergoing, where as and when they get completed, there will be a tremendous increase in the number of passengers that we'll be able to carry in our suburban system. Just recently, we completed a portion of our sixth line extension work between Kandivali to Borivali. And the immediate impact was that there was some increase in the number of suburban services that we are currently operating. Right now, there are multiple more other projects also that are underway. One is our harbour line extension between Goregaon to Borivali. Then there is a third and fourth line between Virar and Dahanu, which is going to add a lot more suburban services between Virar and Dahanu. And then there is the fifth and sixth line extension between Borivali and Virar. Over the next 2 to 3 years, when all these projects are completed, we will see a lot more, almost more than 150, 160 number of new suburban services which will be added to the existing services. Moreover, there is also a focus on safety, security, we have been adding more number of AC services here. Just recently, we increased some AC services. Some more AC services will be increased from the 19th of this month. So, over the next 2-3 months, with 2-3 years, we are trying to ensure that our carrying capacity increases, multiple projects that we are undertaking gets completed, and there is an overall, addition to how many number of passengers we are able to carry.
All right, but with this, viewers, it's once again time to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the other side.
You tune into Market Cafe, and India's FMCG majors have delivered a mixed Q3 with staples showing a clear volume-led recovery, with a select few seeing margin expansion as well. Management commentary points to stronger growth and improving profitability in FY27. Snehi is joining us with the roundup of the FMCG spate. Take it away, Snehi.
Well, yes, so it's been a very good quarter for FMCG companies. We're only talking about the staple companies over here. The staples have made a comeback this time around, and how in terms of revenue expansion, volume growth, as well as margin expansion for most of the listed FMCG staple companies. Q2, yes, was the marking of a recovery. Q3 has been even better. The GST cuts have panned out really well for the FMCG sector. Now that that impact is behind them and the GST transition is completely done, let's take a closer look at a company-wise performance for HUL, the market leader. Mixed moves coming in, revenue growth of about 6%. Volume growth this time was exceptionally strong, a beat towards the street estimates of 4%. On the flip side, the margins did see some contraction at 23%, which is still on the upper end of their guided range. For Nestle, it was a beat all round, very healthy quarter this time around for them. Yet again, 18.5% uptick on the revenue. Volume growth is estimated to be in double digits, so very strong growth over here. But they also saw some margin contraction this time around. For Britannia also, yet again a good quarter, revenue growth of 8.2%. The company doesn't give its volume growth, but we're estimating this metric to be really strong. And here the margin expansion has also taken place rather beautifully at 19.7% compared to 18.4%. So it's a margin bips expansion of more than 130 bips on a year-on-year basis, looking very healthy. Following that trend is also Tata Consumer, largely inline set of numbers, 15% revenue growth, 15% volume growth, very, very healthy numbers here too as well. And the expansion in terms of their margins has been to the tune of 140%, so very healthy moves here too. Godrej Consumer, beat versus estimates, good revenue and volume growth, margins expansions yet again to the tune of 140%. ITC, inline set of numbers coming in, about 6% revenue growth, and the 7% volume growth that we've seen in cigarettes this time around is also looking very healthy. Margin expansion to the tune of 50 bips here as well. For Dabur and Marico, both reported inline set of numbers, 3% volume growth for Dabur, but 8% volume growth for Marico, looking good. Dabur saw margin expansion, Marico saw margin contraction. So that's in a nutshell the roundup of some of the FMCG staple companies. Just taking us through some of the important highlights and the commentary in terms of guidance. HUL, they expect FY27 to be better than FY26, and the consolidated EBITDA margin will be in the guided range of 20-23%. For Nestle, this was their strongest volume growth in nearly 5 years, and all 4 product groups have done really well and delivered volume-led growth. For Britannia, they expect volume growth to be asymmetrical. They're not ruling out any inorganic opportunities. And mainly what they said and what stood out is that they're going to be adopting a startup mentality to combat competition. For Tata Consumer, the growth business grew at 30%. PAT growth should be higher than revenue growth going ahead is what they've said. And margin growth in Q4 should be between 14.5 to 15%. Coming very quickly to Godrej Consumer, they remain confident of achieving high single-digit consolidated revenue for FY26. Dabur, they say that Q3 was strong. Q4 is expected to be even stronger. They also expect high single-digit growth in Q4 and FY27. And lastly, when you talk about Marico, they say margins will improve next year. They aim to grow their foods business at 25% CAGR. They're also aiming to expand their digital-first portfolio. So outlook looks very good, and the numbers this time around have also been very healthy in terms of revenue expansion, volume growth, and of course for some of these majors, margin expansion as well.
All right, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Market Cafe. I'll take your leave. Thank you so much for tuning in.